Nei. Nei. Nú við. Það gerir svona. Já. Já. Ok, þetta virðist vera rétt. Svona. Ok. Ok. Þá er þetta náttúrulega virkar þetta ekki. Allt eitthvað. Halló. Ok. Það verðist vera alveg svolítið tæft batterið, en hérna, ég bara tökum síðan sinn. Hérna, já, ég ætla að segja ykkur frá rannsóknum svona notendamiðaðar aðferðir sem við sáum að hann Eiríkur var að beita. Já, and I have to switch to English, yeah. I was teaching in Icelandic the last Friday and Saturday, and then I was always using some English words because I'm so used to teaching in English, but now because of the 2 days, I got used to use Icelandic again. So, okay, so what we are, I will tell you about the research studies that I have been involved in studying the user-centered design, the UCD methods. And these are similar to the methods that you saw that Eiríkur was using. So I would like to tell you what other people in the industry have been talking about or telling me about these studies. But first of all, I would like to talk about the double diamond model, because this is something that I'm very much thinking about and wanted to relate this to your assignments. So it is actually that way that first in the discovery and define phase, then we are really exploring what is the problem. What is it really? What is the problem that we are helping the users to solve? And to do this, we make a vision, like they say there. We have a question, we have a vision or a statement. It could be elevator statement. And we are trying to map who are interested in this product, understand the people in their daily experience. And we could do that with contextual interviews, as I'm asking you to do in the second assignment, or ordinary interviews. And we are understanding the context. It's very blurry. Hopefully you can see it better on your slides, but you could also look at the reference here. And then we identify themes for the new product, and you will do that in an affinity diagram. So actually you're now for the first and the second assignment, you're working in this area of just understanding what is it that we are going to design and why are we designing it. And I would really like to emphasize what Eiríkur was saying. It's really important to have a question, you know, have like a goal when you go out there and do the interviews. Why are we doing the interviews? What is it really that we would like to find out? And I would advise you to try to focus on the problems, or, you know, what is the problem you are solving? And will this solution that you have in mind help them? So in the second part of the diamond, you're working with a solution to the problem. So there can be many solutions to one problem. Let us think about how do we identify ourselves to systems, to software systems. What do you think about? You have a software system, you have to, now it's dropping out. What?
Username and password.
Yeah, username and password, right. I don't know if we can. You're totally right. But are there any other ways that you can think about? Username and password. In the ATM, do you use username and password? No, you use your card and a PIN code. This is also for identifying, it's me that is taking out money, but this is another solution to the same problem. I have to identify myself. One other possibility is just like eye scanning. Some of you have done that in maybe in world class or somewhere. Have you? You put your eye and it's scanned, and then they say, "Ah, nice to see you, Marta." So they recognize me because they have a scan of my eye, and they check the eye. I'm not in work class. I don't know if it's there, but it is a place called Heilsuborg where they do that. So these are all solutions to the same problem, you see? So often we have many solutions to a problem, but in assignment 1 and 2, you're actually more discovering what is the problem actually. What do they really need? And I think this double diamond makes it very clear that there is a distinction there between really understanding what is the main goal, and then how do we help people? What solutions do we have to help with this problem that we have identified? And you will do that more in assignment 3. So you can see the different phases here, how they explain this. Why do we need to discover the problem and define the cause? We do that in the first part of the diamond or first diamond. So we are gathering insights and we are doing experiments and we would like to really understand what it is that we are helping them with. And then in the second diamond, we are developing ideas and solutions, doing creative ideas or using creative ideas. And they can be like a big range of solutions to help with this problem. So this was just to really make you think in the second assignment, what is it really that you would like to get out of the interviews? What is the question, like Eiríkur posted, that you would like to get answer to? Okay. So in assignment 1 or 2, you're mainly working on discovering the problem and defining the cause. And in the interviews, you should focus on understanding the problem you are solving. And then in the prototypes, you are moving towards the solution. How do we then help them? How do we design for this problem that we have identified? So you're beginning to work on the second diamond, also in the second assignment. But actually, for my sake, at least, I think it's very good to try to think of it as 2 phases: understanding a problem and finding a solution. Okay. So user feedback and research on these methods, user-centered design methods. This is often the case that what you think users do isn't actually what they do. So often we need to really test and talk to the users to find out. And we have been investigating which methods are, or researching which methods are used in the industry to gather the user feedback and understand what the users actually do. What do people in the Icelandic industry, and I've also been doing studies in Sweden, how do people gather this information on what users actually do? So let me tell you about the first study. We did this, it was Ólöf Haraldsdóttir and Britt Mikkelsens that did the study, and I was the supervisor, and then we wrote a short paper on this. So they were doing the final project, and they did send a survey to people working in the Icelandic industry. This was not only people studying here at Reykjavík University, as some of the studies I've been showing you. This was people in general, like people working in the industry. So we tried to get contacts with organizations and like Félag Tölvunarfræðinga, so the computer scientists organization, and so on, to get contacts with people. And there were 82 IT professionals that participated. And these were our questions. Do IT professionals think that usability, having the tool that they're developing easy to use, so usability is easy to use, is that important? And is it important regardless of what software process they are using for project management? And then what software processes are they using? So first, usability. And here you can see, maybe we could take the processes first. I think that is easier. So these are the processes that they were using. So, and this is just how they organized the project. And at this time, in 2009, 37% of the respondents were using Scrum, which is an agile project management process. 44 were using their own process, like they decided or defined their way of working themselves. So they were not using any processes defined by the literature, like waterfall. There were nobody that, 3% using waterfall, 1% using extreme programming, which is also an agile process. But the highest number of participants were using their own method. And then some were using other, and you could say, So it was like Scrum and the others, because it's really hard to know how the own processes or other processes are. Okay, but I was interested in, because Scrum was new at this time, so I was interested in, because there's a lot of speed in agile development, do they have time to contact users? Do they have time to emphasize usability? And I was a little bit disappointed when I got this answer there, that asking about if usability is important, it got the lowest rating by the participants using Scrum. So the people using the other processes thought that it was very important to emphasize that the software they are developing will be useful or easy to use. But the guys or the participants using Scrum were not as positive towards usability. So this scared me a little bit, and maybe was like then an inspiration to research this further. And what I wanted to show you is that we also asked about different methods. Some we have seen here in this course. So we asked them, have you done surveys? Have you sent out surveys to the users? Have you interviewed them? Have you used personas? You did personas in Greining og Hönnun, didn't you? Did you? Yeah. And so on. And what almost all of them did was have meetings with users. And many of them did prototypes. And that was like half of them using Scrum did use prototypes, these really lo-fi prototypes like you're doing. They also did digital prototypes. And this, I was very happy to see that it was the, people using Scrum really did user tests. So they involved users in user testing. 3 out of 4 did that. But it was quite interesting to see that meetings was really what everybody did. And then, the other methods were not as frequently used. Okay, so this was just a short study. The next study, you've seen some of the slides from there. This is Helena Siv that did this with computer science students. and there were 105 that answered. And the distribution between genders is sort of typical for IT or IT development. So I've shown you this. This was the work responsibility, and we see there that 22% are programming, but almost 30% are working on software requirements and design. And then testing is also there, 13, and then management. I was a bit surprised seeing this, that the business applications are really have a high percentage. So you have business and banking there for almost 40% of the types of the software that was developed. And this was in 2011, and these are Icelandic people responding. And then I've shown you this, I think, about the the Scrum development process is very popular here in Iceland, and between the 2 years it's a higher number, but you have to remember that here we have computer science students from Reykjavik University, and they have been learning Scrum here at Reykjavik University. So maybe they choose companies that are using Scrum. So I don't know if this is really typical for the whole Icelandic industry, but at least Scrum is very popular. You could see that in these two studies. So we asked them also what is the major emphasis, and they say customer satisfaction got the highest rating, and then they wanted to reduce help desk calls also. Easy to use, usability is also highly rated there. And what methods are these people using? Again, meetings are very popular. 80% of them have used it, and only 5% have never used it. You see here that interviews are quite popular too. The interviews like you are going to do in assignment 2. So we could say 2 out of 3 use that. Yeah. And then user stories and scenarios are both quite popular. And here, low fidelity prototypes were more popular than high fidelity, or more frequently used. So making sketches like you're doing in assignment 2 was very much used also in the industry. We also asked people to rate the methods. This is maybe the most important result from the study. So how good do you think the method is, or how well does it work, the method, to use it? And you can see that interviews actually got really good rating there. There are many people that, if you take together working well and working really well, you get 73% for interviews. So people out there in the industry really think interviews is a good thing to do. And you can see that there are not that many that say it doesn't work or doesn't work well. It's only like less than 10%. Yeah. So you can actually see they are much more negative about Think Aloud, which is a user testing method, than about interviews. Questionnaires got the lowest rating in that people didn't like. So sending questionnaires out to ask users about the product is not a good idea, they think. It's not that effective. And personas didn't get very high rating either. You can see that there's more than 30% that don't like it. But low fidelity prototypes, sketches, has pretty good rating there too. You see, it's 12% that don't like it. But the rest, 88%, think it's okay or very good. So the methods that you're going to use in assignment 2 are really valuable. The people out in the industry have rated it as those methods as really valuable. The third study was actually similar. It was a master student at Uppsala University, Johan, that made the study. And me and Åsa Kajender at Uppsala University were her supervisors. We did a similar study that Helena had done here, but we did send it to people in Sweden. And then because she didn't get that many participants, we did try to get more participants internationally. So we wanted to, we had similar things like how many participants use these methods, how often are they used, and how do they rate the techniques. So it's pretty simple, similar, but a different group. And here we only asked people that were using Scrum, because then we were really digging down into how does Scrum function. And these were the methods that were most frequently used. And you can see interviews are there and lo-fi prototyping, the methods you're using in assignment 2. Workshops is very, very popular in Sweden. We haven't seen that much here in Iceland, but it's coming with Scrum. But workshop is, it is like a, I don't know, it's like a collaboration. You could have like 3 hours and people are, there's a group of people working. They could be working on designing in collaboration or discussing something. We could say that, you know, the session here, when you were showing each other a vision, would be a workshop, actually, you know. So it's more like a group has a particular time together, 2-3 hours, and everybody are actively working together. It doesn't really have a very strict definition of how workshop should be conducted. There's always one person that is taking care of the workshop, sort of saying, like I was here when we were having this big workshop, I told you should be there and something. And then now the time is over and so, but this is almost the only rule. And then everybody should be active. Yeah, so this was the frequency. And we also asked them when you use the methods, what do you use them for? So when you are planning the usability activities, they were meeting the team and the Scrum Master, or when they were specifying the context of use, they were using field studies, interviews, contextual interviews and workshops. When they were describing the requirements, they used these methods you can see there: persona scenarios, use cases, user stories, and usability goals. And then producing the design solutions, you could use the prototypes, and for evaluation, you have these methods there. So what about the frequency? How often do you use these methods? they actually used lo-fi prototyping quite actively. So many, 60% use it once a week or 2 or 3 times a month. So at least 2 times a month. And you can see that and there are additionally 15% that use it once every second month or once per month. Yeah. Interviews that you are doing, they don't do it that often. As the lo-fi prototyping. So they are sketching all the time and showing it to users or colleagues or somebody. But what do they think are the best methods, or give them good results, give them valuable results? Then formal usability evaluation, meaning user testing or think aloud. And you will do this in assignment 4. This gets the highest rating, really the highest rating. So 73% think it's a very good method and 18 fairly good. And none of the participants say it's bad. And also informal usability evaluation, gathering feedback from users informally, gets also very, very good rating. So none of the participants says it's bad, fairly bad or bad. You can see interviews get also a rather good rating here. Questionnaires, again, not as good rating. And personas are okay here. They got a worse rating in the Icelandic one.
I noticed another interesting thing that there's not a single
person
that says anything is very bad.
Yeah, right. Very good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is something that you could really learn from. This is a very good comment. None of the participants says that something is very bad. I think this is a little bit of human behavior, that you don't want to be really, really critical and negative. That's not good. Yeah, so you reserve the very, very bad. So sometimes we can make a scale of 7. So you can have a better space for giving a critique. Yeah, good point.
If you say to someone and tell them to rate something from 0 to 10.
Yeah.
Almost nothing will be either a 10 or 0.
Yeah, right.
Because people feel like, no, it needs to be monumentally good for that.
Yes, right.
It needs to be pretty much
really suck. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, the 4th study that I would like to tell you about was an interview study in Sweden, and we were doing this together, me and Åsa Kajender again, that was a supervisor for Johan before, and this is our supervisor. We were both doing our PhD studies at this time, and we did the interviews together, me and Åsa. So the motivation was to gain a deeper understanding on both how evaluation can be made more effectively, meaning gathering feedback from users in Scrum projects, but also how do people involve users in Scrum projects. And we wanted to make a suggestion to IT professionals and how human-computer interaction researchers on what they could explore and how they could improve their way of working. So we did this interview study in Sweden in 2010 in the autumn. We had 21 participants working for 14 companies in Sweden. And they were all conducted in English because of me. So, and they were, you know, developing various types of software. We went there and often to their place and had a 1 hour interview with them. What we found was that, this is a rather complex table, but yeah. You can see the groups of people we talked to here. So we talked to 5 usability experts, meaning, you know, experts in the area of human-computer interaction. We talked to 7 interaction designers. We talked to business analysts, 2 developers, and 3 Scrum managers, in total 21. And then we can see what are they doing. Are they observing users? Are they asking users about their opinion? Or are they gathering feedback from not the real users, but like surrogates? And then are they measuring user performance, meaning doing thorough usability tests or doing quantitative surveys and so on? And you can see that most of them are doing interviews or gathering feedback informally on paper prototypes. The thing that you will be practicing now in assignment 2, not many are doing thorough formal user testing. Only 4 of them were doing that. Still, it was highly rated in the survey. So this is very, very strange. This was a bit disappointing for me that only 4 are really measuring user performance. And remember, here we had formal usability evaluation that was really highly rated, and in the same study, we could see that it's not that much used. So this was like, why? They like it a lot, but they don't use it, both here and in the interviews. So I was, because I really like formal usability evaluation. I think it's very valuable. But most of them explained to me it takes too much time. It is hard to do. So we can maybe do it once a year. But I think it is very important. So you will emphasize this in the 4th assignment, doing like measuring in a formal way the usability. And I actually met a company yesterday that is willing to give us like a practical example for doing this evaluation. So they will help me in defining and making it as realistic as possible. So they will help us, getting the right users for the 4th assignment and help in defining what to do. So they will be able to use your results, and we will get the real problem. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then these are analytical qualitative evaluation, meaning that there are experts saying, well, this is wrong with the interface. I know because I've looked through it and I'm a specialist, and I know that these will be the problems if we would have the users here. Half of them are doing that. We were also checking what are they using the results for. And most of them are using it for designing, redesigning, but there were a lot of people, half of them are using it for understanding the context of use, the whole surrounding better, and then 16 there for gathering feedback on user requirements. But this study really changed my understanding on how IT professionals work and what their problems are and how they can involve users in their work. And we saw that it could be hard for usability specialists to work with this because they don't really fit in the Scrum process. So these are quotes from specialists. So one told us, well, I'm like an add-on. I don't really fit in because I have this knowledge. I'm a specialist and I don't fit in the team. I'm not a Scrum Master and I'm not a product owner. So my special knowledge doesn't really fit into the to the organization.
I've seen that quite a lot in European countries, that people have just specialized themselves
Too much, you mean?
much into a way too. I remember once I was in Germany, and we were with a plumber. He could not get work because he had specialized in only rust-free plumbing.
Yeah, okay.
And refused to work with anything else.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this could be true. And this was, of course, in Sweden, and you could see that there were more, maybe, there's maybe more, there has been more emphasis on specialization in the education there. So maybe this is not as much a problem here in Iceland because we are used to many different things. So I haven't done the interview study here in Iceland, so I don't know the results here. Just to finish, for those of you that know Scrum, there is like a phase 0, sprint 0 is it often called, where you are really doing this initial user research, you're doing the visioning, prototyping, and so on. And this is where you are working now. You are really forming the project. And when you have the problem sorted out and some solutions, like ideas about the solutions, then you would do the sprint planning and do the sprints. So all the methods that are used in assignment 1 and 2 are actually used before the actual implementation starts. So let me just finish now, and I will see you Monday. There will be lectures then. Next week on Wednesday, you're supposed to bring the affinity diagram because there will be a workshop and you will help each other walking the wall. Okay, but next Monday there will be like an ordinary lectures. Thank you very much for today.